Okay, the boat's all done now. I put the last of the hardware on. I installed the fuel vent, and I hooked that hose up to the tank. And then I wiped the boat down, cleaned it up a little bit. I cleaned the windshield, and I vacuumed the inside the other day, so that's done. That's nice and clean. So this boat's ready for delivery, ready for the owner to come pick it up. I didn't mention, but the other day I painted the underside where my jack stand was holding the boat up, and then I put the other timbers back in, so I put 2 coats on there, so that's all done now. Same with up front where it's sitting on that timber. So I'll just take a walk around it one last time and show you, the finished product. What I'm happiest about is how clean the varnish came out on this job, because this is the first time that I put a final coat on in my main shop, which is where I do all my cutting, sanding, grinding. There's dust everywhere in this shop, up in the rafters, on the floor, laying on other project boats. So I've always suspected that you can get a really clean varnish job anywhere, and I know a lot of you guys are probably set up like in a 2-car garage or in a pole barn, and there's a lot of myths out there saying it has to be a sealed off room, it's got to be super clean. I put a lot of varnish on boats in varnish booths where it was all clean, and you go through the trouble of setting up this environment where it's totally sterile. And this varnish job is as good or better than any one I put on in a varnish room, and that's done in my main shop here. So that is so good to know that if you just follow along with those steps that I laid out in this video, that you can get a really good varnish job with very little dust in it. Almost no dust on these hull sides, and very little on the flat horizontal surfaces. You always get a little bit, but like I said, this is as good or better than any varnish job I've laid on a boat in a varnish booth. And really, when you think about it, especially for me, I have boats where I restore them, take them right down to the bare wood, and then build the varnish back up. There's only probably 3, 4, maybe 5 times a year where I'm putting a final coat of varnish on a boat. So to have a varnish room dedicated off to the side where it takes up space. I mean, if I had one, I would like it. Don't get me wrong. It'd be nice to have an area like that, but I have limited shop space here. So my point is, there's only a few times a year that I put the final coat of varnish on. Other than that, they're all build-up coats, and a little bit of dust here or there is not a big deal because you're sanding it right out. But for that final coat, you want it to be real nice and clean. So that's when you go through the process of vacuuming up the floor, putting the water on it, straining the varnish, cleaning the boat, wiping it with the dry rags, with the tack cloths, vacuuming it. I mean, it does take a little bit of doing, but if you want a real clean varnish job, you need to go through that process, and you need to do that in a varnish booth anyway. So it's really good to know that you can get a nice clean varnish job like this, virtually anywhere in any shop. So that'll do it. That'll do it for the video on how to paint and varnish a wooden boat. Okay?